Everyone, welcome to A Pinch of Salt. I'm so excited to be able to introduce to you a wonderful cooking segment right here at Central Coast News that's going to be available to you every single week. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Pinch of Salt. It is my privilege and honor to introduce Mr. Chris King, entertainment expert, anything from Broadway to radio and TV, better known as Mr. Entertainment. Chris, welcome, and it is an honor.
Oh, thank you, Dennis. It's an honour to be here.
I can't wait to teach you something that you've always wanted to know, which is about pizza and about pizza dough. But more importantly, Chris, I want to know your story. I want to know where it all began, how it all started.
It began in Hobart, Tasmania, where I was born.
Yeah.
And I got interested in theatre there. And I wanted to be in a show way back then that was on TV called Number 96. It was the real groundbreaking show in Australia.
Wow,
way
okay.
back 73, 74, and we just had the 50-year reunion of the cast.
Oh, wow.
And so I came from Hobart to Sydney and got a role on Number 96. And then I had a television career that continued with over 30 TV shows, including Home and Away, Country Practice. And I was in a long-running show called The Young Doctors.
Oh, cool.
Which was a great opportunity, and did a lot of ABC telefilms in those days where they integrated. You shoot on film and then shoot our stuff on tape and integrate it.
So this whole span of TV, do you find that it has changed from when you first started to how it went through the years?
Yeah, I think we had a lot more fun back then.
Yeah, right.
You know, I did a show called the Super Flying Fun Show, which was live on Channel 9, 7 o'clock. It's a kids show. It was like, hey, it's Saturday on steroids.
Wow.
So everything was live, so if anything happened, it wasn't live before an audience, it was live straight to air. So whatever happened kept going. If the wheel broke or
just kept it going.
somebody made a blue, it kept going. So yeah, and I think TV dramas changed a lot because we now have reality TV, which is interesting. I think, networks have discovered they can get real people to do stuff that actors never would.
Yeah, right. Well, real reality.
Well, if you got a script like that, you go, you're kidding me, aren't you? I'm not going to say that.
And do you find that the reality TV is kind of the future? How do you personally react?
I think I don't want it to sound like an old fart, because old people go, it never was like it in our day, but I think television in Australia has got to a point where it's good to see Australian-made stuff.
Yep.
Drama and comedy. I think comedies are really great, but some of the reality, I think it's really, it's a shame because there's so many actors and people out of work and writers and all of that. But look at Neighbours and Home and Away. You can't tell me that drama still doesn't work.
Well, it's still on, right?
It's amazing. Home and Away. I remember both shows. I did a couple of episodes of Home and Away.
Wow.
Way back. And look at lovely Ray Maher. What a great opportunity for an actor like Ray.
Yeah.
To do shows like that. Yeah. So it's interesting, but I must say I don't watch Home and Away.
Yep.
I'm a bit more. I've just discovered Netflix.
Oh, there you go. Well, what's really interesting is you're talking about how, TV has changed over the years in your experience. I think one of the things that have changed quite dramatically as well is the motion of, especially what we're going to learn today, is pizza.
Yeah.
Because, gone are the days that Pizza Hut and Domino's and, that normal kind of base pizza is. Yeah. And it's kind of now evolved into this whole Italian base. And talking about Netflix, there's an amazing TV show on Netflix at the moment called Chef's Table, which is based around pizza. And everything pizza, because it's actually become a thing.
I live in Tukley, and imagine how my eyes lit up when I saw there was a Domino's going in. Wow.
It's something amazing at that point.
It's not short of food. It's unbelievable for the place.
Well, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful pizza dough. We're going to show everybody out there how to make a great pizza dough. Now, pizza dough is completely different to bread dough.
Right.
A lot of people get confused. Oh, no, it's just another type of bread. No, it's not. It's pizza dough. It's a completely different world. What we're going to have to start with is we're going to start off with around about 350 mils of water.
Right.
So together, you got a partner at home? No, on your own?
Mine, yep.
Right, so this is going to be a good recipe for 3 doughs. Right, so if you want to make 6, we could double the recipe. And if you want to make less, you just half the recipe. You can't make 1.5. Okay, so we're going to do about 350 mils of
Fabulous.
Water. Yeah, that looks like
Because I've got to be honest, I've never made my own dough. I go down to the local supermarket and buy it.
And buy it, right? Yeah. And this is one of those things that once you start making them, you're going to actually taste and feel the difference, I think is more importantly.
Yep, fantastic.
Now, one of the things that a lot of people find fascinating is one, that we're using filtered room temperature water. Yep. We're not using hot water. Right. Okay? So it's got to be filtered. Those fluorides and those chlorines inside of tap water don't really like the yeast. Okay?
All right, so that's important to know. So you buy it.
Yeah, that's it. And then we're going to throw in about 6 grams of yeast. Of course, I'm using chef measurements here.
Yes,
Yeah. So if you want to give that a quick stir for me.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the most important things at this point is once you stir in that yeast and stir in that water, right, you're going to kind of bind it all together. And we're also going to add in, if you want a measurement, it's about 15 grams of salt. Okay, so it's a good decent amount of salt in there. But by putting in the water, the yeast and the salt together at this point, right, it's really, really important that we're going to actually make sure that that yeast and that salt really dissolves really, really well. If you're having trouble with the spoon, you could use a whisk, you could use a fork, anything like that. But really, really important, make sure that you throw that in there and give it a good mix before you add in a good 00 flour. Talking about 00 flour, we're going to use a good pizza dough here. A pizza flour, you go to any supermarket, get a good pizzaiola flour. It's a 00 flour. It's softer, it's looser, it's got more gluten in it, so it's actually going to be able to bind that dough beautifully. Right. Okay, so while you're still using your spoon, we're going to add in roughly around about 600 grams of this pizza dough flour. Give that a good mix before we get our hands dirty. So, Chris, you've had this amazing career in TV all around the country. You've been working a lot in Sydney. What brought you up to the Central Coast?
I opened a Johnny Young talent school.
Oh, wow.
Street, funnily enough, not too far away from here.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get into business, and so we trained a lot of wonderful young people. Natalie Imbruglia was one of those.
You trained them?
Yeah, we trained Natalie. Nathan Foley is another one. There's kids working all over the world on Broadway, and not big names as such, but they're good, which is great.
So we're talking about, like TV a lot. Yeah. What about your Broadway stuff? Is there a lot of, you've done a lot of local theatre?
Local theatre stuff, yeah. I'm very interested because people sort of, professionals put down amateur theatre and all that, but if you look at some of the biggest names on Broadway, they started amateur theatre. Hugh Jackman's one that springs to mind.
Yeah, I saw a video clip about his new Broadway show recently, and he auctions off his hat.
Really?
After every show that he does on Broadway, and Nicole Kidman happened to be in the audience.
Oh, really?
And she bidded $100,000 for her hat for it to go to charity. So it's amazing how theatre really has.
Urban resuscitation theatre.
Yeah, probably. Probably freaked him out a little bit. But it's great how they use theatre to really support, charities and funds like that. So this dough is beautiful at the moment. What we're going to do is we sprinkle a little bit of flour everywhere. And when we're kneading, we're going to just lift up and bring back. Lift up and bring back. And as you can see, there's not a lot of pressure, right? We want to make sure that when we're actually kneading this beautiful dough, we're kind of just pushing it down. So if you want to try, go up, down, and with your palm of your hand, and then turn. So up, and then down, and then push with the palm of your hand, and then turn. Yeah, and up, down, palm of your hand, and stretch it out. What we're doing, Chris, is we're stretching those glutens, right? It's really, really important when you're doing it. We're stretching those glutens to actually form them and actually really come nice and tight together. Then when we rest the dough, those glutens relax and become this shape of what we need for that dough to puff up quite nicely.
It's amazing all the things you've learned.
A little bit of science.
Yeah.
I love it. I love food.
My kids love my homemade pizzas.
Oh, well,
my grown-up kids, they talk about it a lot. It's funny what kids remember when they were little, growing up. So,
how many kids do you have?
I have 7, 18 grandchildren.
Oh, hang on a second. So you've had this full career, right? All through TV, all through, and you still had time to have 7 kids?
Yeah, we raised 7 kids there.
That's amazing. Any of them in film and production?
My youngest daughter Jess is working in film and theatre. She's just made a movie called Once Upon a Time in Serbia. She went to Serbia to make it.
Wow, there you go. You can put your hands free.
And I was lucky enough to work with her on the film she made before that, a film called The Choice. We were able to work together, which was nice. And my son worked in radio, and we once did a thing. He worked for Jono and Dano.
Yep.
And I once said to Dan, gee, we should do a radio show called Dad and Dan, like a funny thing. And Jono Coleman said, because I knew Jono from way back in my early days with TV, and he said, why don't we get you and Dan go out to do some interviews? So we interviewed Steve Carell.
Oh, wow.
That was really, and Dan and I had never done this before, and I've got to say my son was the best straight man. So I wore this pink suit, And the idea, because it was in Crazy Stupid Love that he was promoting, that's when he reinvents himself.
Yep.
So the premise was, I'm trying to reinvent myself on the has-been and get back into TV. And I got to tell you, he was brilliant. And I'm wearing this bright pink suit, and Dan opens up, my son opens up the interview and says, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Krill, this is my father. He's a has-been TV star and wants to get back into TV. So I thought you might be able to help him with this." I said, "What do you think he's wearing?" Steve Krill said, "It's a very bold choice." And Daniel was wearing, like young people do, had a white t-shirt and a fleecy
Looking all trendy and
yeah,
hip.
looking trendy. And I said, "Look at Daniel, what does he look like? He looks like he's the Kim G-Man, the Kim G-Man." But it was fun. So I think that's one of the highlights of my life, working with my son like that, unrehearsed, but just knew what to do.
That's amazing. I could really relate to that because Dad's also a qualified chef.
Yep.
And to be having that connection, you know, from a son point of view, to be working with Dad and that same passion is really, really special because Dad and I, we bounce off each other. Like, Dad, what do you reckon? Do you reckon I cook this or do you reckon I can do that? Yeah. And then he comes in, he's like, "Dan, you still can't cook for shit."
Yeah,
like, it's right. really, really cool. And it's really great to have that that kind of relationship with Dad. So it's great. I get it. And this must be one of those most special moments.
The secret of that was we were there to interview Steve Carell in the movie, and Dan waved that in really well. You know, even though we're going off in this sort of funny little storyline, but Dan always got back to the movie and Steve Carell picked up on that.
And he was just, that's what professional.
No, he's a Hollywood star, and he's also directing Batman.
Yep.
And I said to him, "Look, I hear you're directing Batman. Do you think there'd be a role in it for me?" And he looks at me and said, "Yeah, the pink suit guy, yeah."
Yeah, that could work.
And so I gave him my headshot with my phone number. I said, "When you get back to Hollywood,
if you need someone, I'm here."
Give me a call, give me a call.
Oh, what a story.
Yeah.
Welcome back, guys. I have one of my amazing guests here on the Central Coast, Mr. Entertainment himself. We've learned so many things about you, your career, you know, where you've gone, your kids and working with your kids, and I can't wait to find out more. Before we get into that, I'm going to show you something really important with this pizza dough, okay?
Yep.
We've mixed it, it's gorgeous. We're just going to cut it in to roughly around about 300 gram balls, okay? Now, this is the fun part. We're going to actually work our dough to make sure we create this beautiful kind of ball. Okay, you reckon you could do that?
I'll have to give it a go.
We're gonna start playing with the dough. So we start off with our hands over our dough like this, and we're gonna push and bring back, and then push and bring back. And then eventually what happens is you get this beautiful ball. You're close, we're getting there. Much like the pink suit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm about as close as Hobart, I reckon.
Beautiful, there we go. How about we go over this beautiful dough?
Yep.
Now we're gonna put it into it, I'm gonna put it on a tray. If you do at home, one thing I advise when it comes to beautiful pizza dough, put it into a tub, put Glad wrap over it, put it in the fridge for about 24 to 48 hours. Okay. The longer you're able to proof it, the better it is. Okay. The difference between pizza dough and bread dough is we've put less yeast in it because we're going to give it more time for it to proof, right? And it's going to get that, you know, that fluffy, crusty bits on the side that we want, okay? Yeah. So I'll put that aside. I've always wanted to say this. Here's something I prepared earlier. So this is our wonderful pizza dough. This has been sitting in the fridge for overnight. We've pulled it out about an hour before we're about to use it. Now this is one thing I hope we can get into the shot, right? And it's really, really important how you pull the dough out of the container because we don't want to stretch it. It's all about those glutens that I was talking about, okay? So we just want to be able to pick it up and place it on, okay? Now before we start playing with it, we need to grab some flour. I'm going to sprinkle some flour.
That's special flour, isn't it? Pizza flour.
Just pizza flour. You can use plain flour, just do not use self-raising flour because you're going to taste the bicarbiness in it and you don't want that. So when we pick up this dough, we're going to place it on our flour. And you can see that it's very wet and watery, right? And there's no oil in it, no nothing, okay? So when we actually grab it, we want to just stretch it out and pull it. We're going to turn it around. We're just going to tap it into this flour. And you can see very quickly does it actually start to stretch out.
Right.
Beautifully, right? So we're not actually pushing, we're not stretching, we're just like literally just stretching it because we don't want to actually put too much pressure because we don't want to stuff around with those gluten. So when it puffs up nicely. Now we're almost there, nice and thin in the middle. Nice and crusty on the outsides.
Yep.
Right, nice and thick. What I'm going to get you to do is grab that mutti sauce. Now I love mutti, right? You got mutti pizza sauce, you got mutti tomato pastata, whatever you like. The reason why I use mutti is I've actually been to the mutti factory in Italy, and the way they treat their tomatoes are gold. So pour some of that in the middle, however much you like. Oh, keep on going, keep on going. That's it, beautiful. Then grab the spoon. And then with the spoon, you're just going to spread it all out, making sure that you don't go all the way to the edges, because we want to keep those nice little bits and crusty and thick. This is the difference between making it happen like it looks like a proper Italian pizza.
Oh, nice.
Right? So while you're doing that, tell me a little bit more about what you do today. Where are your fingers in?
What I'm doing today is I have inverted commas retired. Because I had a...
Someone like you's never going to actually retire.
When sometimes you never want to.
Yep.
But I had a massive stroke in February of 22. And
wow.
I nearly wasn't standing here next year. So you have to sort of face reality. I'm wanting to go back and do some acting.
Yep.
And I'm still involved in the local theatre scene here, acting and directing. I have a little segment on ABC local radio.
And when's that on?
It's on Friday mornings.
Yeah.
15. 92.5 is
the station?
We're at, ABC Central Coast with Scott Levi.
Wow, there you go. Well, if you ever want to...
local theatre and, local things, local happenings.
So at this point, we're just going to get a pizza paddle, right?
Oh, that's a fantastic thing, isn't it?
Yeah, when you get the pizza paddle...
Where do you get one of those?
You can get them from any kind of store, really. Even Bunnings have them. Barbecues Galore will have them. Anything like that. So all I'm doing is using our pizza stone inside our oven. If you want to get a pizza oven, go for it. It's the best thing you ever do.
I've got a little one of those little ones, the little round ones.
So we're going to just stretch it out once it's on there, right?
And what was that?
That's mozzarella cheese, fresh mozzarella, right? Okay. Now we've all got our pizza stone in here. We've got our pizza oven on full bore, right? And we're just going to throw that in there like that. Close it up, and that's going to take a few minutes. While we're doing that, can you tell us a little bit of advice on anybody that wants to get into acting, anybody that wants to get into theatre? Where do we start? How do we go about it?
You've got a dream, you follow it.
Yep.
Lots of people tell you no, you get lots of no's, you've got to be pretty resilient and keep on trying and listen to, and if you get some advice from people. I'm probably not the best person now because since I've been acting, the way that people audition, used to go to a casting agent and they put you on tape with the director. Yeah. These days you do it yourself at home.
On TikTok and iPhones
on a phone,
Yeah, right.
So, so I think if you've got a dream you want to do it, get in and do it.
Make it happen.
Yeah, because you never know. I can remember in Young Doctors show I was walking to the canteen one day with 15-year-old kid sitting there, very nervous. And I introduced myself and I said, "G'day, what's your name?" He said, "Russell." His name was Russell Crowe.
Oh, no way.
And he didn't have any lines in this particular scene. He was really nervous, but I sort of befriended him and introduced him to everyone, because you never know, And I saw Russell later, some years later down the track, and he said, "I've never forgotten what you did that day," because I was so nervous. I was only really young. And you go, "Well, that was amazing." He went on. I've got a great story for you. We got axed in Young Doctors, and we had a Christmas party which was really huge. Kerry Packer came, Rich Grundy, our producer, and we're going to say, "What are we doing for entertainment?" Our makeup lady said, "My son's got a band. They're a garage band. They need a gig, and they'll do it for free." And we went, "Oh, free's good."
We like free. Yep.
Actors always
like free. Yeah.
You got to actually come to the restaurant, make sure they got money. Anyway, I have this famous. I'm famous for saying this. I was watching it, and the makeup lady came up and said, "What do you think?" I said, "Oh yeah, they're all right." I said, "What's that thing on the drum kit, Pioneer in Excess? What is that?" She said, "It's in excess, stupid. It's a play on word." I said, "Tell Michael to get rid of it. It'll never work."
So you said in excess would never work.
Yeah. Michael was our makeup lady's son, and he was just come and sit down during the show, and he once brought me a first cut of Just Keep Walking, which is one of their hits. And he said, "Everyone's allowed one mistake."
Oh.
Yeah, imagine that, saying, what an idiot, because when you're 19, you think you know everything. I can't believe believe I said that. I laugh about it now. It's a good story.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah, Gary Beers, Indexes had a big association with Central Coast. They built a great recording studio up on Mangrove Mountain, Somersby Lane.
Yep.
And Gary Beers came to brought his daughter to the talent school and reminded me of exactly that.
It's one of those things you'll probably never live down.
No,
it's not going to happen.
I'm happy to say, I think, going back to your question, just get in there and you go for it, and really, listen to what people tell you. And being a TV star is really secondary. You're an actor. You're there. You have a craft, and you need to develop it. Because I can tell you, it's amazing who you meet later on in life when you go through all of that.
Yeah.
And you change your career course as I did. I got into events. I managed one of our big events up here, the Old Flora Festival.
Yep.
And I worked as our tourism and events manager at Central Coast Tourism, and then ended up at Central Coast Council as the manager of arts and culture, managing the theatres, art galleries, and overseeing arts and culture development.
So over the years, you've developed such a great career. It is our privilege and honour, I think, to have you here on the Central Coast and actually have you around still, because if anybody on the Central Coast wants to get into TV or acting and things like that, you're actually kind of laying down the platform for that road of success for everybody to actually have an opportunity.
Yeah, I think the thing is that the message is that got through to me, it's a business, right?
Yes.
So, don't get carried away with all the TV week stuff and all that, because that's just peripheral. You turn up on time, you get ready to go, you know your lines, you know what's going on. Any ideas you've got, make sure you have them ready to go. Don't hold up rehearsals. Well,
it's one of the things I find very interesting now as a caterer. We're catering quite a few production shows. So we're the caterer on a few of these different shows as a production. And the cast and the crew, when it wasn't reality TV, the actual, the crew themselves, were very much like what you're saying. Turn up to work hard, because you all work hard. And it was very unique to see across the board, and it was actually quite refreshing as well, because everybody really loved being a part of what this beast was, which was the show that they were producing or the show that they were putting on, which is fantastic.
But way back then, I thought our programs were still remembered 50 years on.
Yeah.
Because you have all these reunions, and you do Where Are They Now? And when you do a Where Are Now, the show, you're backstage and the host introduce you and they play footage of when you were young. And people go, oh God, what happened to you?
What happened to you?
God, he's got old, fat, he got bald, thanks.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Oh, it's fun.
So let's have a look at this pizza. You can see what I'm talking about with that puffiness on the edges there, that beautiful kind of flavour in there. That's about to come out. So let's grab this bad boy out of here.
Look, I got one of those.
You can see how gorgeous that pizza looks.
That's a lot better than like a little square one.
Yeah, they're kind of like a little thing. So you got that wonderful crusting on the outside, and that's got to do with the proofing. That water helping with the steam and the flour and the yeast, and that resting is really, really important. Now, to finish this guy off, now this is going to be a traditional margarita. We've got some fresh basil over here.
How is basil?
He's really good.
He's good?
Yeah, he's
excellent.
He's still in the investigation world. Yeah. So if you want to grab some of that basil and throw it on for me. Anyway, tear it up, throw it in. You can smell the basil, you can smell the cheese. And one thing that I always say, whenever you're cooking things like Italian pasta or a good pizza or anything like that, one of the things that you really, really need to find and really, really need to understand is trying to keep it to the colors of the flag.
Oh, okay.
Right? You got the white, you got the red, you got the green.
Yeah.
Anytime you're doing anything with Italian, if you ever lose your way, always come back to the color of the flag.
White.
Yeah, that's it. So we're going to grab some of this olive oil because it's Italian, and we need to finish off with a touch of olive oil over the top. Now, if you're in Italy, you get served a pizza and you do not share it.
Really?
True story. It does not come cut, and it does not come as a sharing thing. It is your pizza and your pizza alone. And you have to rip it apart and you eat it that way.
I like that idea.
Yeah, so no one's allowed to touch your pizza, but Mr. King, or should I say Mr. Entertainment,
no, Mr. King,
this is for you.
Wow.
Give it a try, tell me what you think. Nice and hot. Good pizza?
Oh, good.
Fantastic. Guys, the recipe is going to be inside Central Coast newspapers for you to be able to cook this at home. I can't wait. I can't wait to find out more about this guy. Please subscribe today, and I can't wait to show you more things all the time.
Can I just say, I visited your restaurant down here in Gosford last year.
Yes.
For a Christmas function. Wow, was it good?
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, no, it was great. Absolutely
That's awesome.
fantastic. Everyone had a ball.
Oh, absolute pleasure and honor.
Service, everything was fantastic.
Thank you so much. But guys, until next time, I'll see you soon. Ciao.